Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. We thank the Lord our God, the King of Glory, for the opportunity, for the grace, for His love, for His protection and guidance upon us. We thank Him for bringing us to this wonderful and to this beautiful day. We thank the Lord for our country, Canada. We thank the Lord for the shalom that we enjoy in this country. There are a lot of countries that have war, destruction of life and property, like what is going on in Sudan. A lot of people are dying, shooting, people are causing troubles and so on and so forth. But we thank the Lord that our country is in peace. And we have the opportunity to come to the Shabbat to praise Him. This morning we have a Parshot of Tazria and Metzora. As I said, Tazria means to conceive. And the Lord God is saying, when a woman conceives, that woman, after giving birth, becomes unclean. And the woman has to come to make a sacrifice for sin offering. So the issue now is, what sin has she committed? Has she committed a sin because she gave birth? Or why is God saying that the woman has to come and give a sin offering for what has He done? That she has to give a sin offering. And as I said before, remember that David Hamelech said that in the book of Psalms, that in sin my mother conceived me. What is he talking about in this state? We need to understand that, and when God said that the woman should come, and I'm not going to give us the answer to that. I'm going to say it. I want you guys to think about it. I want you to come and tell me what does God mean about that, and when we're going to talk downstairs. Okay? So, but the main important thing I want us to talk about this morning is what is called Metzora. That is what I'm going to deal about very well this morning. What is Metzora? A Metzora is a man or is a person that is afflicted with Tzara'at. Someone with the affliction of Tzara'at is called a Metzora. And what is this Tzara'at? Because it is absolutely mistranslated. In most cases, they call it leprosy. So, but we need to understand that there is a Tzara'at in the house. A house can have Tzara'at. Not only a human being. Mm-hmm. The Torah speaks specifically that a house can have a Tzara'at, which many people can call it. They can call it now. They call it what do you call it now? Fungus in the house. Some people say. Oh, some people in some tradition they call it black eyes, dark eyes. Mm-hmm. That the dark eyes is affecting the house. So it's either the house is torn down and rebuilt, or it's either you pack your load and leave, or it's either the house is sanctified and cleansed. So there are different ways in that. So this is what we're going to talk about this morning. A Tzara'at is a state of being diseased. That is Tzara'at. And we need to understand that Tzara'at is not a physical disease of a kind. It is a spiritual malady. It is a spiritual disease which places a person in the state of impurity. It places a person in the state of impurity, and that is what God is talking about in the two Parshot, both Tazria and Metzora. We are talking about what here? We are talking about the state of impurity. And God wants us to always be pure, but He's talking about here. We are talking about this state of impurity, because when the woman gives birth, she becomes impure. Why that? And this one again, Tzara'at, when the person is afflicted with Tzara'at, he becomes impure. But God also gives us a kind of example in the Torah that we are going to discuss mainly upon this morning. The book of Va-Yitkra helps us understand human weakness and frailty and the need for creating holy and healing communities, the need for ritual and support that enable us to transcend our alienation from God, transform our shame and guilt into wholeness again, and help us return to God, if you will, and at oneness with God and with ourselves. What I'm saying is that the book of Va-Yitkra, or particularly the Parshot of this morning, Metzora and Tazria is they gave us the understanding about the weaknesses of men. What we have, what weaknesses do we have? Because remember, let's say for example you go to an interview. In an interview, the interviewer will tell you, right? Can you tell me your strong points and your weak points? What is your weak point? You can say, okay, this. What's your strong point? This. So this is what, as a human being, we have our own weaknesses. And this Parshot this morning are pointing to those weaknesses. And how can we take advantage of these weaknesses to make it a strong point? That is what I want us to talk about this morning. And for us as a human being to completely return home to God. That we should come back home. And that is what God has been talking about from the beginning. Adam, return home. That is it. Not all the Torah, everything in the Torah is talk about Adam, return home. That is it. God does say it in different ways, in different means, in different languages, in different tongues. But the root of it is Adam, return home. The Kohen shall look at it, and behold, the affliction has changed to white. The Kohen shall declare the affliction pure. It is pure. Tzara'at, as it is most of the time mistranslated as leprosy, a rotten skin, wounds that ooze endlessly, with stagnant pores, body odor because it stinks, that knows no cosmetic cover up. There's no way you can do your cosmetic, it stink. There's no way you can cover it up, it stinks. Excruciating pain that tells the most enduring of the most faithful among us. It is a spiritual disease. Many people, they'll tend to want to do what? Cover their sin. You can't cover your sin. It stinks. Sin stinks. He tried to do all kind of cosmetic, to put cosmetic at all the time. And God is saying there is no way we can discard this affliction. This spiritual affliction, it's a spiritual disease that has to be cleaned. It has to be what? Eradicated. It has to be what? Removed. The real disease, a real disease that afflicts real people, causing real suffering, real disfigurement. Because most of the time, the people spiritually are disfigured. And real death, it can cause physical death and also spiritual death. For as the Torah says, that the wages of sin is what? Is death. It will be easier not to talk about it, to avoid it. Because most of the time, we don't want to talk about our what? Our secrets. We don't want to talk about our sins. No, you know what? Let's cover it. Let's whitewash it. Hallelujah. Let's talk about prosperity. Oh, God will prosper you. God will prosper you. But never talk about what? Never talk about sin. How can God prosper you in your iniquity? Yeah, God will bless you. But remember, that rope that God is giving you is the same rope that God will use to hang you if you refuse to change. If you refuse to repent. So, it is easier not to talk about it. It is easier to avoid it. It will be easier not to talk about it at all. It is easier for us to pretend that does not exist, as did some of the early reformers in Judaism. The early reformers, the reform movement, right? In Judaism, they don't like talking about Tazria and Metzora. They want to cover it. Oh, no. It's too harsh. No. It's too no. It's not. It doesn't lift the soul. It doesn't lift the spirit. It makes everybody sick. Because we're talking about what? We're talking about spiritual disease. We're talking about sin. We're talking about iniquity. That we as Jews, we as the children of God, we as the students of the Torah has to do what? Has to overcome. Early reformer and instead together probe the depth of the meaning in other Torah texts. Instead of us to come together and try to look at it and try to study it and try to understand why God is giving us this spiritual teaching. But there is no point messing words. No reason to try to turn the Torah into a kinder, gentier sort of documents that radiate only divine light and shed no darkness. A sacred text, right, that elevate the spirit while avoiding the existential reality of human existence. So there is no need for us to come and try to whitewash, to sugarcoat the Torah. Many people, that is what they do in many churches or in many synagogues, in many or in many places of worship. What they do is what they try to sugarcoat the Torah, try to cover it. Yeah, no. The Torah only talk about positive. But the negative thing that the Torah talks about, they don't want to talk about that. See? If you don't want to talk about the negative thing that the Torah talks about, then how can you make amendment? How can you grow up? How can you see that this path I'm going is the path of destruction? How can you see that this path that I put my leg is not a right path? How can you know that? Because your rabbis have never told you anything about that. What they told you is always prosperity, and prosperity. You can be prospered by any means. But Torah says, no. There are paths, there are ways that you have to go for us to attain holiness and righteousness. The Torah is as much of this world, the world of the physical body, as it is of the other world, the world of the spirit and souls. The Torah is much more of the physical, and at the same time is much more of the spiritual, that is, the soul and the spirit. Parshot, Tazria, and Metzora may be about purity and impurity to the ancient folks, but they are not about sickness or disease of the body, not about folks medicine and healing, not even about ritual impurity and priestly cleansing. Metzora, I said, in particular, can also be seen from the other perspective of a metaphor. God is giving us, I want us to look at it from another perspective. I want us to look at Metzora from another point of view, from another angle of view. That is from the angle of a metaphor. That God is trying to teach us a particular message or a particular lesson using Metzora. Using a man, a woman, a person that is afflicted with Tzara'at. Remember I said, what you see is nothing than what you don't see. What you don't see is much more than what you see. Because the internal control the external. The spiritual control the physical. Many of us, we don't understand that. And God is trying to use the Metzora, the man afflicted with Tzara'at, to teach us, or a house that is afflicted with Tzara'at to teach us about this spiritual sickness, this spiritual malady that we have to understand, and so that we can be able to apply it in our what? In our life. It is about the disease of the soul, Tzara'at. It's a disease of the soul, a disease to which we are all susceptible. It can happen to anybody. I'm talking about spirituality now, okay? Not the physical one, okay? I'm talking about the spiritual interpretation, the spiritual part of it. It can happen to anybody. A disease that is so powerful, it can consume the body and the spirit in one fall swap. Boom! Yes, our Torah portion is all about disease and broken souls. But what is frightening about Metzora is not the wound. No, it's not the death. No, it's not the odor. No, it's not the smelly. No, not all those things that require a constant attention that are described in seeking detail here and elsewhere in the Torah. It is not about all those things. No, it's not about, that we have to look at it step by step. See, the man, the Kohen has to go 7 days and go again another 7 days and just to do what? To check and it is a kind of constant checking to see what has developed on the skin. If it has spread all over the skin or not, if it is still remaining in the place that it is. No, none of that. What is frightening about our portion is the way Metzora, in its blink and dismissal darkness, find a way to reflect the dark side of the self and make it even more so. What I'm trying to say is this. The way Metzora is written is for us to understand the dark side of ourselves. Remember, every human being has the light side and the dark side. All of us are the child of God. Everybody has it. What we are doing as a child of God is to do what? Is to be able to control the dark side. To not the dark side to control us, but we controlling the dark side. Remember, God told Moshe Rabbeinu, he said, throw the stick, and he threw the stick, and the stick became what? A serpent. Why not a lion? Why not an eagle? Why not a scorpion? Why not any other animal? Why a lion? Why the serpent? God is telling him, I'm going to give you knowledge. I'm going to give you wisdom. I'm going to show you all things. But there is a but, there is a danger. And that danger is you have to control it. Not those knowledge controlling you. But once the knowledge begins to control you, you are in a mess. You finish. C'est fini, the French say. You as a human being has to have the authority to control them. So the same thing we are doing here. We as children of God will have that side. But because we have the privilege and the energy and the power and the will to control them, to subdue them, to control them. Not them controlling us. Okay? So, through the genius of the Torah author, who point out through the body what they want to teach us about the soul. So the Torah writer are teaching us through the physical thing, the spiritual thing. They're telling, okay, you know, you have 2 eyes, nose, 2 ears, and so this also can also be applied in the spiritual realm. We seem to learn just a little bit more about ourselves because they are teaching us using the physical thing to teach us the spiritual things. Listen carefully what they are teaching us. This week's Torah portion reminds us that with all the good we have to offer, everything commendable that we have discovered about ourselves, there remains a dark side, a defect as a result of the event of the garden, a misalignment of characters. There is a dark side that we have to understand. There is a defect. And what is this defect? This defect happened in the Garden of Eden. This defect happened when we took the fruit and we ate. And this defect is still there. God is telling us that this defect is still there, but you have to control it. You have to manage it. You have to understand that you as a human being have a defect. We are not perfect. Only God is perfect. We are human beings. So we have to do what? Manage this defect to our own advantage, not to our own disadvantage. When we forget, that is when the disease erupts like a volcano. When you forget that we have a defect, that is when this disease of Tzara'at erupts like a volcano. Perhaps it is difficult. In Hebrew, difficult meaning exactly or meticulously or precision. Okay? That is because of our own hastiness, because of our own pride. Pride is a disease. That is the Tzara'at. Ego. That is the Tzara'at. I am more than anybody in the world. Self-aggrandizement. You know, the aggrandizement. You know, self-high. You know, put yourself in the pinnacle. A pride. That is the Tzara'at. That is the disease that God is talking about. You have to remove it. Anyone, the Torah said, pride comes before a fall. A man that is going to fall, watch very well. That man will be proud. Oh my, he will call himself God. That man or that woman will say, there is no other God, me, I'm the God. A nation that is going to fall, watch that nation. That nation will be so proud. They call themselves, they are the God. Right? A civilization that is going to be destroyed, watch that civilization, he become very proud. What 2 minutes, that destruction is at the door. A belief that we have achieved a certain level of moral perfection. Oh, I am perfect. I am morally perfect. There is nobody that is perfect than me. I am the one. I am the. I have seen a lot of people. There is a man that called himself. Was it 2 weeks ago? In Spanish, you know, he called himself. Say, my name is Jesus, something like that. Jesus de Souza, something like that. This guy, right, said. It's a Colombian, right? This guy said that I am of the descendant of Jesus. He said that Mary, Jesus, the son of Jesus, right? That his family is from the son of Jesus. Technically, he said he is the God. This guy he has a church I think he has a church in Washington D.C. Big church, big. Spanish church, or everybody they worship him like God than there. It's funny, but it's real. There's a lot of them like in Africa. There's a lot of them like that. In many places, there's a lot of them like that. That instead of them lifting up God, that their follower, worship them like God. Like so many other bodily disease that lives inside of us all the time. Okay. Threatening to play havoc with our body when we least expect or when we least expected it. Tzara'at is always there, ever ready to erupt and take control. Remember, it's a defect from the beginning. It's a defect. There is a virus in the program. Remember, the program was built, right? It was perfect, the program. But suddenly, there was a virus in the program. And the virus messed up with the program. And the program becomes defect. That is human. And then I'm trying to use IT understanding to teach us. And now this virus is now intertwined with the program. We have to get rid of it. We have to remove it by all means. If you can't remove it, you have to manage it so that it doesn't control you. That is the point. And that is why we have this. 1 minute. Okay, good. All right. And when the Tzara'at goes forth, its lesion may adhere to our body, just like the ash of a volcano adhere to the surrounding environment, and can cast a shadow over our soul, like the ash cloud casts a shadow of darkness over the land. Remember, when the Tzara'at goes out, when the pour, and you see the word, the liquid that is coming out. This liquid adhere, click to the body. It stick to the body, right? It flows down. And I said it's the same thing using volcano to give us the understanding. When the volcano erupts, right? What happened? The ash falls down, right? The ash adhere to the ground. Click to it, that is attached to the ground everywhere. And before it come down, it caused a shadow of darkness in the entire place, in that area where the volcano happened. Last week I was talking about the volcano that erupted in Russia, right? In a twinkling of an eye, 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning became 11 o'clock in the night, because the ash covered the entire sun and everything became dark everywhere. So this is what Tzara'at does to people. Tzara'at casts shadow of darkness upon those who are self, whose feel of self. Pride is a problem. And the Torah gives us understanding before we finish. And that was a being. And this being became proud among all the creation that God has created. He said, in the book of Yeshayahu, in the book of Isaiah, he said, how come every time I need to make my own throne higher than the throne of God? Pride. Pride comes before. And this light was cast down from the heavens. right? So, and that is the disease that every human being has. And we have to control it. It came from the beginning in the garden. It twists the program. It's a virus. It's a disease. And we have to get rid of it. And only the Torah, only the bright light of the Torah, which has the power to illuminate our life, can diminish the darkness of our soul. Only the light of the Torah. And that is why God has given us the Torah. And that's why they say the Torah is the life. The Torah is the way of life to those that take hold of it. Torah is the truth. Torah is life for those who take hold of it. And it is only the Torah that God has given us the Torah to shed light into that what? Into that darkness. Into that darkness, that eruption, that volcanoes of pride that erupted and covered the whole place and caused darkness. It's only the light of the Torah that can penetrate through and destroy and consume them. And that is why we have to get very, very deep in the study of the Torah. Not the study of the Zohar, not the study of the Talmud, but the study of the Torah. For the Torah is the fundament, it's the elemental foundation for all those. If you don't understand the Torah, forget about Talmud and forget about the Zohar. You won't get it by just wasting your time. But once you understand the Torah, everything comes naturally. You understand it. According to the Torah text, a white leprous swelling of the skin is a symptom of ritual impurity or uncleanness. However, when the skin on the entire body turns white after the disease has run its course and the body has responded, the whiteness is then declared a mark of cleanliness. And we learn from the text that the priest is the only one capable of healing a person of he or her leprosy. So the issue now is, how come the God is telling us that once the skin is full of white, it is pure. But it still has, the person still has the leprosy, or it still has the Tzara'at. The Torah said, once the person is filled with white, or the body is white, the person becomes pure. What is God saying? Because the disease has run its entire course. In science, again, I want to give us the understanding. For example, if somebody is affected with cold virus, for example, the cold virus, the most deadly part is the first 3 days, the first 72 hours. That is when that person is contagious. The person that has a cold virus is contagious in 3 days. Any person that you meet in that 3 days, it will give it. After that, the person is no longer contagious. The person is clean. But because the disease has already run its entire course, now the body is responding, the immune system is responding to destroy the disease. 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, the person is no longer contagious. Yes, the person might still be sick, but it's no longer contagious because the disease has run its entire course in the body. But the first 3 days, the person is very, very contagious. But that is when that's what we call the incubation period. The disease is incubating in the body. It's very dangerous. The person can spread it to everybody. But after that, no, there's no more spreading. The body is just getting back to normal. So, and it is only the priest that can declare a person or that can heal a person. But what is taking place? That's the question. What is taking place here? The priest does not actually heal the person of a leprosy. And the liquid that is pouring out does not disappear in their entirety. They leave their mark on the individual in the form of a white powder. And so, by analyzing this unusual process of ritual cleansing, we come to the understanding that through this process, the priest takes on the leprosy himself. The priest takes up the leprosy himself by transferring the burden from one who is afflicted. He leaves only the trace reminder of the disease with the afflicted person as a reminder not to sin again. Remember, because back then in those days, when anything like that happened, they say, oh, the person has sinned. The mind is, oh, Is it because of sin? That is why the person have a leprosy. It's because of sin. And that is why God said, once somebody have Tzara'at, what happened? You have to keep the person out of the camp. And our sages tell us, why do we keep the people outside of the camp? Why? Is it because not for contamination? Yes, it's like a prevention not to contaminate others. But that is one of the most important things here, spiritually, that is speaking, is because of what is called lashon hara. Because of gay speech. And that is why when somebody speaks lashon hara, Tzara'at happened. And that is what happened to Miriam. Because lashon hara, what does lashon hara do? The work of lashon hara is to separate, to put division, to destroy, to separate man from man, to separate woman from woman. Because when you go, oh, Pala, this is what, you are trying to divide Pala from who? From amigo. Or you are trying to separate amigo from Alba. Or you are trying to separate Alba from me. You are going to cause division among them. And that is why the Torah says you keep the person outside. You see, you get the result of your own action. And that's why they keep them aside. Because they want to cause division, they themselves go outside of the camp. That's what our sages said. So we need to be very, very careful, because what causes Tzara'at is basically the element is lashon hara. So it's finally here. The priest does not actually hit the person, but what the priest does is to take on the lashon hara upon himself. That's what he does. He takes the lashon hara upon himself, just like Moshe. What Moshe did. Say, God, don't kill them. No. You want to kill them? Don't do that. You know what would the Egyptians say? What would the other nation say? They will say, oh, you are not able to bring them to the land. God, kill me. Let them get to the land. Me, I'm just only person. So if I die by problem, I give myself to them. Let them get to the promised land, so that it won't be a shame. They will say, the God that we serve is a wicked God. God say, no, it's not going to happen. You will not die, but the person that sinned will die. So this is another thing that I'm trying to portray here about Yeshua HaMashiach. That is giving us the understanding, saying, I'm going to put upon me their Tzara'at. He put upon me their Tzara'at, leave them. Because they are my what? They are my creation. I created them. God, the Almighty, put their Tzara'at on me, put their disease on me. Leave them. I will take the consequence of my action, because I made them. So this is what we have to understand, the spiritual interpretation of what God is telling us. God is using the physical thing to teach us the spiritual thing. By so doing, He is able to help people experience their life as a blessing once again. At the same time, we realize that although we, like the leper, are unclean and broken, through real healing, through real teshuvah, we have the power to cleanse one another. When we recognize this profound spiritual truth, then we, as a modern priest, me and you, as a modern priest, can begin the process of healing ourselves and others. Once we can understand the fundamental truth of what this message is saying. We, all of us, we are all priests. God called us, we are all priests. Israel is a kingdom of priests. That's what God said. We can be able to understand what God is teaching us about, and we can be able to heal ourselves, heal one another, and heal all the nations. For God said, Israel is the light. We are the light bearer. We bear the light. And through us, all nations will come to the knowledge of God, the true and the living God. The Parshot, Tazria, and Metzora. The one to conceive, and the other one, the person that is afflicted with Tzara'at. We need to understand what is God teaching us here. And the teaching is this, that we should not be proud. I give us the spiritual understanding. Tzara'at is pride. it destroys. When you don't even know, that is when it creeps in and it erupts. And this eruption is deadly. So we have to be very careful. We have to stand firm and stand guard. I have to always guide myself, guide my mind, guide my soul. Always guard, knowing that this disease is ever present every time, and we have to deal with it and subdue it. Shabbat Shalom.